Flight 209er, you are cleared for takeoff.
Roger.
Huh?
LA departure frequency 123.9er.
Roger.
Huh?
Request vector. Over. What?
Flight 209er, clear for vector 324.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Roger, Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Tower radio clearance, over.
That's Clarence, over. Over. Roger.
Huh?
Roger, over.
What?
Huh?
Who?
What up, Mike? Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto, where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto, where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto, Mike, we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1551 of Toronto Mic'd, proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. The Advantaged Investor Podcast from Raymond James Canada. Learn how to plan, invest, and live smarter. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. And Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Today, making his return to Toronto Mic'd to celebrate 4,073 shifts on the fan. It's Roger Lajoie. Welcome back, Roger.
My pleasure to be here, Mike. I like 1551. You only got 2,500 more to go. And you'll be the 4,000 club.
You know what? That's my goal. I want to get to the 4,000 club. You are in the 4,000 club. No one in Canadian sports radio history has ever got close to the 4,000 club. Right?
I'm going to correct you on that. I would think, here's the thing, Mike. I only count my own shows. I don't count anybody else's, and it's not an official thing. It's like
did Bobcat get up there?
Oh,
Maybe
I bet you Bob was.
Bob beat you.
I bet you Bob beat me. And he did take a lot of time off. But that's the thing, 20 years, it just shows you how long you have to be around and how many shows you have to be doing on a regular basis to hit that mark. I would suspect Gord Stellick is probably had done more shows than I have, just because of, again, number of years and a full-timer at the station. The Fan has never been my full-time gig, so to get to 4,073 is pretty impressive. But your numbers are coming up there, so congrats too, buddy.
I got a lot of work to do to get to the 4,000 club. You know who else was in the 4,000 club? The great Tom Cheek. His game streak was 4,306.
Yeah, and that's consecutive.
Yeah,
at the ballpark, and he doesn't work in the winter. That was a pretty impressive run for sure, 100%.
So when they have the fans' level of excellence, we're going to see the Roger Lajoie, right up there.
Well, that's very flattering of you to say, but we've had a lot of great talent on our station, Mike, over the years. But I appreciate that comment.
But you know what? You're like a cockroach. You can't kill the
Thank
Raj.
you. Really, of all the compliments I've received in my life, being called a cockroach is probably the best. So listen, I'm going to really say thank you, sir, and I am out of here.
Remarkable species, the cockroach, though. You can't kill the cockroach, right? They'll be around long after human beings are extinct. They'll be cockroaches. No, I know. I'm working on my analogies here. But what year was your first shift? And it was the Fan 1430, right?
For Fan 1430 on November the 30th, 1992. The station went on air first week of September of 1992. I was a regular guest because at that time I was doing work, Mike, for United Press International. I was covering the Blue Jays, and as we remember, they were in a pretty interesting run. So they reached out to me to be a guest on a lot of shows.
What host wanted you on?
Storm and Norman Rumack, of course, my great friend.
Hammerhead Alert.
There's another guy.
Hammerhead Alert.
There's another guy's probably got 5,000 shows. Right. Norman Rumack.
Right.
Terrific guy. So yes, started there. Mike Hogan had me. A couple of the guests had me on, okay? And they started, and program director Alan Davis was reaching out, trying, they're building the station, getting more hosts, and, he'd heard me so many times on other people's shows, he thought, hey, what about this guy? This guy sounds like he could do a sports talk show. And I was also working at a weekly newspaper in Oshawa, so I had a sports background, and one thing led to another, and November the 30th, 1992 was number one, and tonight, as we speak here on Monday, September the 16th, 7 to 10 will be 4074. So, yeah, that's quite a run.
4074. Soon you'll be MASH. 4077.
Hey, I didn't think of that.
Hey, listen, I could be in your marketing
Maybe I'll get
department.
a little well, not with cockroach comment. You can't be in my marketing. Sorry, pal.
Yeah, but you're looking at cockroaches all wrong, man. I think that's a remarkable species. Nothing can kill a cockroach. Okay. Did you listen to, it was the 30th anniversary. I did a retrospective on the Fan 1430/590 with the aforementioned Alan Davis, and Nelson Millman was on this show. Scott Metcalf was on the show.
I did hear
Dan
that, yes.
Shulman, and we of course shouted out Roger Lajoie. It's quite a run for the Fan. Do you think that 590 always a sports station? It's not going to become a country music station or anything like that?
Man, I sure hope so, because I'm not really into the country tunes, and I don't want to be spinning any of that stuff. Radio station, Mike, and all radio stations face challenges. We know that. That's no secret. Same thing with newspaper. Any traditional media has the same difficulties. I'm confident we're going to find a way as a station to stay relevant and stay involved. It's tough. There's competition. You can get your information anywhere. Radio as a medium is difficult, but I remain pretty confident in the brand. And I look at it this way: if there's only going to be one sports radio station anywhere, it'll be ours.
Your best friend at a terrestrial radio station like the Fan 590 would be a traffic jam, right? Like long-lived traffic jam. So long as there's traffic, there's going to be people tuning in to hear what they have to say about the Leafs, the Raptors, whatnot on the Fan 590.
Well, you can imagine in that case, Mike, because that's true. You can imagine what it was like during COVID. For a sports radio station when nobody was working, everybody was at home. You're distracted.
Now you got Spotify, you've got your podcasts. You're just throwing on the TV because the boss can't see you.
Right. Exactly. So 100%. So that was a tough, but we survived like we all did, and here we are today.
And that's why I called you a cockroach. You survived, right?
Okay. If you could really move on from the cockroach the rest of the interview, I would
no
really
more
be deeply
roach talk on this one. No more cockroach talk. But I do want to give you some nice notes. To pump your tires after those unfortunate remarks. Ali Musa. Do you know the name Ali Musa?
Ali Musa does a podcast, and I've been on his podcast, and he's an inspirational guy, and I enjoy him very much. Yep.
I was on his podcast too. It was quite something. He wrote me to say that you are his favorite. So I am not his favorite, that's for sure. Ali Musa wants you to know, Roger Lajoie, you're his favorite.
Well, that is very kind, and I'll take that as a pretty high compliment. And for people who don't know, Ali is blind. He does his own podcast. He puts it together himself, and bless him. So, Ali, that's very kind. Thank you.
Bless the heck out of Ali Musa. We're on the same page there. Midtown Gord wrote me and said, say hi for me. Midtown Gord was, I don't know if he still does, but he used to call in all the time. I think Gord Stellick gave him the nickname Midtown Gord.
And I know him very well from Christy Pitts as well. I'm sure we're going to talk about that, but Midtown Gord is a big fan of the Intercounty Baseball League and comes there all the time. Thank you. Mike, I tell you, it is always gratifying to hear from the great listeners and people you follow over the years. And so nice, very nice.
Midtown Gord, a heck of a Lee Aaron fan.
Yeah, he does like the hard music. He's a music. he's a music junkie too.
The number of restraining orders that Lee Aaron has had to put out for Midtown Gord is proof positive. Midtown Gord
could be worse. It could be a cockroach. Could be worse,
Mike. He aspires to become a cockroach. That's what he aspires. I like Midtown Gord. He's come to some Toronto Mike listener experience events, TMLXs. I'd love to see you, Roger, at a TMLX.
I have to make it out there because your stuff is great.
On?
Your stuff is great. Well, I'm so busy, Mike. That's bad. That's a terrible thing because you have enough of them. But I mean,
well, there'll be a 16th. I'll be announcing soon the date and location of the 16th TMLX.
Okay. All right. You know what? I'm going to make a point. I do follow you, and I know when they're on, so I have no excuse not to. It's not. Oh, Mike, I didn't hear about it. No, I heard about it.
No excuses from you. That's an Alice in Chains song. No excuse. No excuses. I want to give you that book now and talk about Toronto Maple Leafs baseball because this sponsorship is actually over. It ended at the end of August. So this is literally, this is not something I'm obligated to do. I'm doing this because I know you were an official scorer at Christy Pitts.
This is half my material in this book from the years of Christy Pitts. So thank you. I actually have one.
You have one?
But I will take this very gladly.
So let me tell the listeners, I've given Roger a excellent book called, and most people don't watch, but The Toronto Maple Leafs History. Do you know, you're good at numbers. I feel like you're kind of like, you can call a number. And we're going to discuss many numbers, and from Terry Fox money to like steps you've taken and kilometers you've walked. We have a lot of stuff to talk about. But how many games at Christie Pitts?
732.
Were you the official scorer for?
732.
I know, I still got to finish the question.
732.
So people know what the hell we're talking about, Roger.
732 at Christie Pitts. And at the moment, 322 in Major League Baseball with the Blue Jays.
Well, we're going to talk about that because you were almost a part of history. We're gonna get there.
Twice?
Twice in a very short period of time. Shout out to Dave Steeb, who hopefully is listening right now. We're going to talk about that. But Toronto Maple Leafs baseball, you were the official scorer. So how long has it been since you were an official scorer for an IBL game?
So I started doing intercounty baseball in 1979, Mike. Wow. I was the official scorer of the Toronto Maple Leaf Baseball Club for 35 years. 35 seasons.
What a run.
732 games. Ended in 2013. When Jack Dominico, the late owner, passed away in 2021, I guess it was, Damon Topley, who was running the team at that time, Ty Crawford running the team, asked me to come back and help out for 1 year. So I returned for one more year to help them in the transition. They have new owners now, as you well know, because you're down at Christie Pitts.
Stein and Mr. Godfrey,
Absolutely.
Rob Godfrey.
Absolutely. So, 36 years total. So I've been scoring baseball games for, 45 years, and 1,052 is my current count. 732 in the intercounty and 323 with the Jays.
I love it. You know, you and I are cut from similar cloth, so I'm really the cockroach around here because I love the numbers too. Like I can tell you how many kilometers every.
I see that you post
every month.
You count your shows.
Well, I count my shows for sure. You're what are you? 15, 51. I count the kilometers I cycle. So this is a big. I have these targets and these milestones. I know you do something similar with your walks. We're going to talk about later. But for example, I know that for a month like September, the minimum for me will be 1,000 kilometers of cycling this month, and I'll blow by that target. But I track every single run with an app, and I record all this similar to what you're doing.
That's fantastic.
I got numbers all over the place.
What gets measured gets done.
Yeah,
that's why I look at it. You got to measure it. You got to count it, and again, back to counting the shows, counting the official scoring, counting your everything else. You're not counting anybody else's. It's not a comparison.
Right.
You're not trying to be better than anybody else. You're just trying to measure to a higher standard, and it gives you a number to shoot for. So good on you, brother.
Right. The only person I'm competing with is myself. So it's like I want to do better this time. And then, sometimes I'm like, I want to have my fastest 30K ride ever today, and I'll just go hard, and then we'll see how I do. And
Has anybody ever interviewed you?
You're doing it right now,
No,
Roger.
I want to do it.
Can we do it on the fan?
No, but you know what? We could do that sometime. That's an idea. But you know what?
Fan or GTFO?
You know what? You know what I would like? I would like to be the guy that interviews you for one of your Toronto Mike episodes. You introduce yourself as the guest, but I'm the guy asking the questions.
Well, so we all, and I'm
think it over. It's a good idea.
Sure, I'm game.
Oh, you don't like it. I can see it on the look on your face.
This is like, so I was, real quick, just to connect something here. I was invited to be on this show that was on the national CTV News Network. I can't remember what they called it, CTV News Net or something, news channel. I don't know. But I was invited to be on this debater show, and I was happy to do it. But I had a caveat. I said, I'm doing it, but I'm doing it at 299 Queen Street West. Like, I don't have a particular passion for doing your show, but I do want the experience of doing it at 299 Queen Street West. Long story short is they did a bait and switch, and at the last minute they said, we have to move it to FaceTime. There's no one at 299 to receive you. I had already committed, and I did it, and it was no fun. And then they asked me back, and I said, well, again, I'm only doing it if you can promise me it's at 299 Queen this time. And then it never happened because, of course, now the show's gone, whatever. Similar to you, like, I would love to talk to you, but I've never been on the fan radio station in my life. Never had this experience. I want the experience of being on the fan before it turns country.
You leave that with me, and it's not turning country.
All traffic?
That would be a cockroach move if it ever
well, you know what
turned
I say? I joke, but they're actually starting this month. There is now, again, a country music station in Toronto, but on the FM dial. The old Flow, which became something called Today Radio, which apparently had more cockroaches listening than humans, and now it's country.
It's discouraging. And nothing against country music, okay? I know people like it. There's all kinds of
who likes it.
Taste. A lot of people love country music, but end of the day, it's a tough. You leave that with me.
All right, I will. We'll see if we can make some beautiful music together. Okay, so I want to put a bow on the Toronto Maple Leafs thing, which is to tell you that in 2025, next summer, I hope to be like live from Christie Pitts for at least one game a month, a home game for the Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team. And I would love if for one of those, we arrange maybe one of those live recordings from Christie Pitts, you make an appearance at Christie Pitts and sit beside me and chat me up on Toronto Mike recorded from Christie Pitts.
I'd be very happy to.
And you can tell us memories. I don't know, like, I remember when Rob Butler went 8 for 8.
I can tell you memories of Christie Pitts and the background, Mike, and I'm not going to give you a pile of them now, but I'll say this. So I am a second-year university student at Ryerson University. At that point, it was Ryerson Polytechnical Institute.
I remember.
In 1979, summer of 79, so my second year there, just finishing up, part-time job, official scorer, a public address announcer, intercounty baseball. I went down and met Jack and Lynn Dominico, which was supposed to be a summer gig for a student, and I stayed there 35 years.
Wow.
So I do have an affection for the place, sir.
Would you love to have a role at the team again?
That's not for me to say. First of all, they have new owners.
Would you like that?
I am busy enough, let me put it that way. And when I came back to help out Damon and Ty, I realized why I don't want to say I realized why I left, Mike, but it's got to be a passionate thing. So if they think I can help them, I would certainly help, because they reached out to me. I wasn't saying, hey, geez, I think I'd like to go back to Christie Pitts. I've been away 9 years after 35 years. Be fun to come back. I support the Intercounty Baseball League, the Maple Leafs. It's all good. It's an all good thing, and I'd love to go down there and chat with you at Christie Pitts whenever you feel like it.
It's worth noting I was there for a playoff game, and it was great atmosphere, and they were filling the hill, and it was great times, but we got swept in that series by the Barrie Baycats. And they won it all. I want to report back that they ended up as champions.
I know we're on TV here, but I'm going to not that many people watch, apparently, according to you.
To me, it's a podcast.
You can see it.
What are you doing watching this?
I have my intercounty baseball ring here. You want to have a look at that? Yeah. So this ring is kind of modeled like a championship ring, except it was made uniquely for me after 35 years. And it has 700 games on the side. It has the 7 championships teams I was involved with, and 19 pennants.
Wow.
And I'm going to say this. So Jack and Lynn Dominico were the owners of the team. Lynn, rest her soul, what a wonderful lady, passed away in 2008. The Leafs have not won a pennant or a championship since.
It's like the legend of Bill Barocco.
It is kind of, that's the impact. You're still trying. She was the soul of the franchise, and everyone talks about Jack Dominico. He's a bombastic guy and everything else, and Jack was a colorful guy and everything else. His wife was such a major part, and in this day and age, would have received 5 times the recognition she did in the past. Oh yeah, there's Jack's wife. Works in the press box when you're getting the kids organized. She was the soul of the franchise. So, yeah, we had some great things. And, yeah, I was disappointed. I didn't make it down this year. I was disappointed to see that because it's tough. The league is good, man. It's a good league. Really good league.
Yeah, high-caliber baseball and great atmosphere. And the price is right, man.
Free admission. Can't beat it.
Free admission. Can't beat it. Okay, now I want to talk about the Terry Fox run that took place yesterday. All across this country of Canada, there were Terry Fox runs yesterday. I am wearing the shirt I bought at the High Park location yesterday when I did the walk. I want to thank, I wish I had the number in front of me. I think I'm a whisker under $2,000 raised.
Fantastic.
So I want to thank the listeners and the FOTMs out there. A few members of my family, but mainly it was listeners who contributed and got us to $2,000. The High Park location set a record for the most money it's ever raised for the Terry Fox run yesterday. The first time they cleared $200,000. So it was a great day, perfect weather. So thank you to everybody. But kudos to you, Roger Lajoie. You, much like myself, you have been doing the Terry Fox run for decades.
I've done 39 and 36 consecutive. This is the 44th, and I make it a big point, Mike. It kind of bugs sometimes the organizers. I go up as soon as I get there, and I say, excuse me, could I have the sticker? And they go, well, have you finished the race yet? And I said, no, but you might have packed up by the time I finish here because I'm walking all over this thing.
I get the sticker first early. I grab the sticker before I do the walk.
I want that sticker. I figure, what if they're all gone? That's what it sounds weird, all the things. And I have all 36 consecutive posted and framed in my home, and there's 4 more empty spaces for 40. And once those 3 are done, I'm going to really fix it up on a nice mat. So yes,
for you, man.
absolutely marvelous. I can't say enough about the people in Oshawa, to echo your comments. The people that contribute, the organizers in particular that spend, it's an all year thing. You're arranging for the merchandise, you're arranging for vendors, you're looking after all the details. It's not an easy thing to pull off and maintain it after all these years. And you reach a certain stage with these things, Mike. A lot of them, at the end of the day, whether it's a golf tournament or any other fundraiser, they fall off. After a while, it's like, well, Terry Fox, yeah, but that was 44 years ago. But my goodness, it resonates so much with so many people still.
Yeah.
And thanks to the great people, the Terry Fox Foundation, they did a marvelous job. We had a great run in Oshawa, too. It was a beautiful day. You're right.
It doesn't get much better for a Terry Fox run. That felt like 30 degrees out there. It was unbelievable. But 39, good for you, Roger. I'm at like 22 or something.
Much younger man, though.
I am a younger man, but not much younger. How old are you? Is that
66. I have no problem talking about my age.
All right, I'm just doing the math. Even if I did one for the next, I think we'd be right there next. Like I said, we both count things. Okay, we're cut from the same cloth,
right?
Because we're almost on pace for the same number of Terry Fox runs. Love it, and I'm proud of you for doing it. Now, we talked about how you record your your steps. So steps, like that whole language of steps, doesn't really mean, I'm not sure how to translate it, but I'm good at kilometers because I track my rides in kilometers. How many kilometers did you walk yesterday?
83.04.
Okay, let me digest that because that's a hell of a bike ride. Okay, 83 kilometers. If I do 83, that's a hell of a long ride for me because I typically don't go past 70. Walking? What can you explain? Where did you walk? Did you walk to Hamilton?
Well, first of all, 15 hours and 21 minutes it took. So
give me the day breakdown.
You weren't biking 15. I'm sure you weren't biking 15 hours and 21 minutes. I get up, Mike, about 6 o'clock. Okay. I get in 15,000 steps pretty quickly before I even go, because that's a psychological part for me. How
long does that take you?
I don't even watch the time. It's about 8,000 steps.
So you're step guy.
I can do 8,000 steps a minute at a good pace. Pardon me, an hour.
I was going to say, that's like an Incredibles guy. Okay. So you did, obviously the Terry Fox run isn't that long. What is yours?
No.
10K?
Well, 10K.
Yeah.
So I did
the Tide Park one's half that.
I did 8 Terry Fox runs.
That's incredible.
Yep.
Have you ever participated in a marathon?
Nope.
Because I
only walk.
I'd walk the marathon just to say
running,
I did it.
Yeah, the running for me is, Mike, especially, I just look at it. I'm not, we're all different in how we approach, trying to look after ourselves.
Sure.
For me personally, I'm not a big person on high impact athletics, so I'm not a rec hockey league player. Right. I don't want to have my hip replaced or knee replaced because of playing sports. I just don't. It's just not worth it for me. And I have a fear of concussions, to be honest with you. Walking. Yeah. Anybody can walk.
Low impact, yeah.
It's low impact.
Yeah.
However, take that length of time.
80 clicks. It's crazy.
83.
83. I know I'm shortchanging you.
83.04, please.
Well, don't forget the 04.
Yeah, don't forget the 04. 83.04.
You're starting to sound like me of the rides. Yeah, I did 43.02.
And the heart point tracker was 1,019.
So your cardio must be incredible.
Yes, there's no question I've really improved. The walking has done that, even though it is a low impact. There's no question about that.
I can tell you the distances you're going, and you get a high five from your doctor. You go your annual checkup, gives you a high five.
Doctor is very impressed. He said, and to tell a story, Mike, like a couple of years ago in particular is when I really, pardon the bad pun, stepped it up on this, is he told me your blood pressure is starting to get a little bit in the high range, like a lot of people your age. So, you're going to have to be, should I give you some medication? And I said, no, you shouldn't give me any medication. How can I get that down without medication? Preferably, obviously, if you need it, you need it. And he said, well, you're the big walker and everything else, if you could take it to another level. So I took him up on it. And it's 3 years I've been tracking the steps. Now, this is an ultimate. Yesterday was an ultimate. But I will do this year 10 million steps.
Yeah.
I do 28,000 a day.
Good. That sounds, again, I'm having trouble, but if you
20 kilometers.
There you go. Okay.
I walk 20 kilometers a day.
20 kilometers of walking a day is absolutely incredible. And I know you're busy with work. So even finding the time.
Here's how I do it. Here's one way to do it. So your location here is 5,500 steps from the GO train. Right. So I plan the day. I take the GO train, 5,500 steps. I'm going to walk back 5,500 steps.
Right.
I'm going to get off at Union Station on the GO train. I'm going to walk to the Fan, which is 6,000 steps. And at the end of my shift tonight, I'm going to walk back, which is another 6,000 steps.
Right.
There's 24 right there.
No, excellent. So, Roger, congrats on your fitness and for hitting these awesome milestones.
Well, thanks, Mike.
It's inspirational, man.
But you know what? Well, that's the word I'm glad you used, Mike. I like that, but be honest with you, like it to me, it's. I'm not doing it to show, hey, look what I did. What I do with the Terry Fox run is I don't take a lot of donations from I say, you get out. You get out. I'll support your run. Get out and everybody get out and move. How about we all get out and move, and then nobody would have to support anybody because we're all out there doing it, and we're all doing it for the right reason. And I hope it inspires somebody to do it. That's the bigger thing. And I can tell you this. I'm 66 now. I could never have done this at 36. I couldn't have done 20% of this
right
at age 36. So let that be to someone who's in their 30s going, because I get people say that, oh man, I get depressed when I read that. Why? I said, well, look how old you are, and I can barely do steps. I said, don't feel bad. I couldn't do steps 30 years ago too. And I hope that's a trigger for people. And anyone listening, it isn't about Mike's tracking, fabulous kilometers on his bike or Roger's steps. You get out. You get out. You can do it. And Mike, I'm not trying to diminish.
Right.
83 kilometers is quite a walk in one day.
It's incredible.
It's really not. That's all I'm going to say.
I would say it's incredible, basically, that you found 15 hours to walk.
Well, I cleared the day. Yeah, but it
was a Sunday.
Very true. It was a Sunday. Very true. Very true.
Like, I'm just envious. Wow, good on you, man. Hey, I got a note from Mike Hanifin, and I'm going to read it. And
Mike Hanifin.
This will segue us nicely to the Blue Jays for a moment here. But Mike Hanifin, this is exactly what he wrote me regarding you, Roger. Because his first two words, at first I wanted them to be applied to me, but then I realized, no, these are for Roger. Great guy. That's you. Great guy. We compared notes as official baseball official scorers a few years ago. Him, Major League, me, Minor League in High A, Vancouver. And it was very interesting how different that position is in the big leagues. He doesn't even get to sit in the press box anymore in Toronto. What the heck is Hanifin talking about? You wouldn't want the official score in the press box, would you? I don't know. Maybe that they have to do that at smaller, maybe in AAA or High A or whatever. But where do you sit at the Dome when you're the official scorer?
So, first of all, Mike Hanifin is a great guy as well. Thank you for that, Mike. I can tell you that, Mike, here's just a little inspiration for you, if you like. I spent 35 years in the Intercounty Baseball League, which is a lower level of scoring than what you're doing now. I didn't score my first Major League game until I was 53 years old. Wow. So keep doing your stuff, brother. Number one. Right. As far as that goes, we have the best primary location. We used to be in the press box, yes, and we now have a booth which opened up with the reconstruction of the Rogers Center. It was about, I don't know, like 6-7 years ago maybe. It's a separate actually it's less than that now that I think of it. It's a separate area. It is right dead at home plate. We are right next to the Fan 590 radio booth, right next to it, like the Fan 590, right. MLB data operations. 4 data operations guy who operate the pitch clock, the scoreboard, the stats cast, all of that, and myself sit in a separate area, and we watch the games on a couple of monitors and have full access to it. It is a fantastic working environment, and it's probably one of the best in Major League Baseball for an official scorer, because an official scorer does not need any noise or distractions around him. It's a tough gig, okay, as Mike knows. It's a tough gig, and everybody, and I always make the joke. So I was in earlier, I still do quite a few times. I'm in the Jays booth, either doing this out-of-town scoreboard, or I used to be in the booth when Mike Wilner was doing, and Jerry Howarth were doing the games, and I'd be, talking with them, whatever.
Yeah.
Official scoring is so easy from that seat. The seat next to it, a lot tougher. All 40,000 people sitting in the ballpark think they know how to be the official scorer, but when you're the guy that has to make the decisions, it's tough. But we have a primo, fantastic area. It is not, oh, geez, you don't even get to be in the press boxes. No, we're even a better location than the press box.
And they feed you?
Yes, they do.
Okay. Anything you want or what? Like you got a special...
There's a media buffet meal there, which is top of the line, which is great. It's a lot of people have to pay for it. It's just part of what they do. You come in, but they give us a free meal. Yeah. And by the way, I just want to state, I work for Major League Baseball, not the Toronto Blue Jays. All right.
Well,
this is a Major League Baseball paid position. Has nothing to do with the Toronto Blue Jays, and the Toronto Blue Jays have no control or sway over it. And to their full credit, in my 13 years as an official scorer, I have never had a problem with them.
Okay, let's talk about what I think are the highlights of this disappointing, again, this is me talking, again, I'm a fan, I can say this, disappointing 2024 season for the Toronto Blue Jays. The highlights being the 2 times that Bowden Francis took a no-hitter into the 9th inning. That's always exciting. That's the only time I've even tuned in since the trade deadline. I want to see the second no-hitter in Toronto Blue Jays history. Of course, the first one was in Cleveland, and that was 1990, I believe, and of course, that was Dave Steeb. What I find fascinating is that you were the official scorer for both of those games, Roger.
Yes, so I'm one of the 3 official scorers. We each do 27 games a year. On August the 24th, I was the official scorer when Francis first took the game into the 9th inning. And on September 9th, I think, whatever the date was, I was, just by chance, my next game up. So I did back-to-back 9th inning no-hitters. Now, you said it's exciting. I have other words to describe exciting.
Well, let me set the table here. Let me set the table. So, first question I have for you, Roger, is how aware are you that the pitcher's got a no-no? Because suddenly, the focus, the attention, the eyes, should you call it a hit when possibly maybe some people think maybe that's an error that has such weight and it's so much more important if it breaks up a no-hitter. How aware are you of that moment?
Oh, well, we're aware it's a no-hitter like in the 3rd, 4th inning. Like that. I mean, that's one of the things you're first starting at. But here's an interesting thing you touched on there.
Yeah.
And this is where it's a difficult thing. It does not matter. It does not matter what the circumstances are. It's either a hit or an error. And I'll use an example. There was a game a couple of years ago, Mike, and it was, and I wasn't the scorer, but it was a New York, either Yankees or Mets. It was one of the New York teams in, and the New York pitcher gave up a hit in the 2nd inning that nobody really questioned.
Right.
He took it into the 7th inning, and he's got the one hitter going, and the New York Public Relations Department is saying, hey, you're going to take a look at that hit from the 2nd inning, to which the scorer, not me again, justifiably says, no, why would I? Well, it was, and the play was, okay, it's one of those, but it's a base hit.
The scorer made their call.
But here's the thing. Nobody said anything in the 2nd inning.
No, right, no.
Nobody said a word in the 2nd inning. But now it could be a no-hitter. Mike, it's so hard to pitch a no-hitter. You cannot give someone a no-hitter by saying, well, he really did a good job, and that probably, it's a hit or an error. So we watch every single play like the game's a no-hitter.
Right.
We do.
Right. Right.
We're just there.
So you're calling it the same, regardless of whether the guy's given up 20 hits or no hits. But you must be aware of the attention that call's going to get.
I was terrified.
All of Major League Baseball, all fans, basically, if they think you got it wrong, you just robbed Bowden Francis of a no-hitter.
It's terrifying. I'll tell you my experience, the first one. So the first game's going, I've never scored a no-hitter in Major League Baseball. I scored one in the inter-county, but did not score one in Major League Baseball. And I'm sitting there, we have an online supervisor who's in the chat room. So he's watching, and obviously he's watching this game now really carefully with me. If I want any advice, it's my call. But, and the data ops people are watching, and, you're tense, but you're thinking, and all I'm hoping is, I just hope this is a clean hit. Because I'm confident I'm not going to give him a no-hitter. I will call it the way it is. But yeah, then afterwards, everyone look at this guy, called it. How could you do that? Take away the no-hitter. So the top of the 9th starts. Yeah. And the first game, if you watched it, you remember.
I watched it, yeah.
Okay, as soon as that ball goes off the bat, all right, as soon as he went off the bat, it didn't go. I didn't know it was going out of the park, but Varsho turned around and had to chase it. And in my mind, I'm thinking, there's no way this is an error. Varsho's not going to drop that ball. This is going to... I actually took a breath going, it's either going to be a great catch or and we all know it left the park.
And you must be like at some level. Roger. Very private question, personal question. Are you a religious guy?
To an extent, yes.
Are you praying to your higher power that it is a home run? If this thing's not going to be a no-hitter, let it be a home run. That kind of takes any of the sweat off your brow.
To be honest, yeah, I'm hoping it's a clean hit. Yeah.
So when you suggest...
And not just for me, for the pitcher, too. I don't want a pitcher, like having to go, oh, my goodness, I had a no-hitter, and it was a bobble at first, and maybe the guy should have been able to pick it up. And it was one of those plays.
That's the worst-case scenario.
And so back to the second game, exactly the same thing happened. And this time, as soon as it's off his bat, that's out of here.
Right.
See you later. So no worries there.
Roger's wiping the sweat
But
from his
the
brow.
flip side is, Mike, you're still disappointed. I'd like to be the official scorer of a record of a no-hitter in Major League Baseball. You telling me?
Right. Because they're still so rare.
A lot of emotions.
It does feel, from a fan's perspective, it feels like we get no-hit a lot.
No, it happens a lot more. It happens a lot more.
The Jays, I don't know the number off the top of my head, but I feel like 9 or 10 no-hitters I can think of off the top of my head being the Jays being no-hit.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that high, but Dave Stewart did it. Verlander did it.
Remember Nolan Ryan did it?
Nolan Ryan did it back in the day.
There was a combined no-hitter just like last. I mean, it happens a lot, really.
Yeah.
But we can all say, hey, we've only done it once.
And it's happening more in the last 4 or 5 years, just to the nature of the game, especially now with the hit and miss, and a lot of guys hitting the homers and the analytics of the game, and nobody's bunting.
Well, I can tell you what it is. Happens. It's that you can be pitching back in the day, Roger. Let's sound like Abe Simpson, shaking our fist at the clouds for a minute here. But back in the day, you didn't dare remove a pitcher who was pitching a no-hitter, and it's commonplace now to pitch counts and everything. I know you got a no through 7. You're coming out. We got another guy pitching the 8th, another guy pitching the 9th. And I think that makes it easier to wrap up a no-hitter.
Yes, that's true, because the guy's throwing aspirins coming in the 8th inning, and he's still fresh.
Yeah,
100%.
We know what happens now, Roger.
That was the thing about Francis, especially the first game. Yeah. Francis was at, I think, 108 or 109 pitches going to the 9th inning. They and he was on a pitch count around 70 to 80. They let him run. And John Schneider basically said, I'm not going to mess with history. I'm going to give him the crack at it. And other managers, he's at 106 pitches after 7. Sit down, great job. But we got a ball game to win. My best chance is to bring in the guy in the 8th and the 9th, and he'll finish it with you. And at least you'll get a partial no-hitter. So it's interesting.
I have questions, but I have trouble with Roger Lajoie separating the official scorer from the sports fan who hosts shows on the Fan 590. Does it ever cause a conflict for you that you might be the official scorer for Bowden Francis taking a no-hitter in the 9th, and then you might have a whole, a half hour on this topic with callers or something on the Fan 590? Is there any conflict at all? It
has never been a conflict in my mind. It has never been a problem in my career. I've had a lot of those kind of wearing multiple hats, Mike. I mentioned I'm not a full-time guy at the Fan. So when you're not a full-time guy at the Fan, what else are you doing? Well, I worked in the Ottawa Senators organization for 21 years, and I hosted a show on Sportsnet 590 The Fan for all 21 of those years. And when I left the Senators organization, a listener reached out and went, "You work for the Ottawa Senators?"
They couldn't tell.
I'd worked for them for 21 years. But you were on a
Toronto sports radio station, so...
And listen, when I first took the jobs, it was a case the program directors then going, "Hey, you better watch your P's and Q's, because if I get one issue with you about this..." Right. And so I think I'm objective. I can talk about... And the nature of my shows too, Mike, if I was on every day, 5 days a week or whatever, then it's going to become a problem. The way the shows are structured, it hasn't been a problem. That's a great question, actually. But no, it has not been a conflict for me, and I have no difficulty with the Blue Jays scoring. I work for Major League Baseball. I'm doing a service for Major League Baseball. I can get on the air and say, geez, maybe Schneider should have taken him out in the 9th inning with no conflict of interest.
Right. Now, because here's a question about the fact Schneider did not take him out, which I think every Blue Jay fan was grateful that we got to see Bowden Francis take the mound in the 9th inning. I think I speak for every Jays fan on this planet right now, okay? Oh my God, we need something. This year has been such a disappointment. More on that later. But I am now at a point, when I was younger watching baseball, I just assumed Cito Gaston was making these calls. This was my belief as a dumb teenager. Oh, Cito is making the call, whether he's going to go out and get Guzman or if he's going to go out and get Jack Morris, whatever. That's Cito making that decision. Today, I'm not so sure anymore. I don't know if John Schneider makes the call whether Bowden Francis comes out for the 9th inning anymore. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think he gets from above? I don't know. Is Ross Atkins sending a message to Schneider, let Francis pitch the ninth, even though he's past his pitch count?
Well, I don't know that for sure, and I don't know.
Well, what do you think?
I don't think so.
Is that possible?
No, I don't even think. Well, it's possible. There's always a way to communicate
What about
with the
the
manager.
playoffs last
you can
year?
you can get on the phone saying, but here's the thing about the playoffs last year or any other time. I'll answer the question this way. Yeah. There is a framework an organization works under. And the framework of the organization is we are going to, and I'm just using this as an example. I'm not saying it's necessarily the Jays, Seattle Mariners are like this. We are going to live and die by analytics. If that is your decision, you make a framework of the decision, you make decisions based on that, and you do not waver. So then, if you're asking, well, is the manager making the decision? Well, no, he's not, because the analytics-based driven data is making the decision, but that does not mean one guy is over his shoulder on every single decision saying, hey, remember the analytics drive, see what I'm saying? And that is not just the Blue Jays, Mike. That is the old school managers, the Tony La Russa's of the world. They were the kind of guys, you make decisions based on the data now. And some old school guys don't like that. And some old school fans don't like that. And I respect analytics. I get it. I understand, Mike, behind it, but you still have to have a feel for the situation. And you can't explain that, though. But let's say you're a manager and, you're going to be criticized no matter what move you make.
Right.
Okay, and that's the nature. People are going to criticize you. If you base it on analytics, it's much easier not to be criticized because it's the data. The data shows I'm playing the odds. Well, so why did you leave Barrios in and you gave up 2 homers?
Exactly.
It was my gut. It was my gut. It was my gut told me, come on. Can you imagine if somebody said?
But look at the response from your typical Blue Jay fan by not letting Barrios pitch. Did he pitch 4 innings? I can't remember now.
He was out of there fast.
He was out there fast, but he was dealing, right? We agreed. We were watching that game. He was dealing, and Kikuchi, whoever came on, he gave up 2 runs, and we lost like 2-0 in a must-win game.
Right.
That's a good example of where it feels like you got robo managers making decisions and Schneider's not making that call.
Well, why do we assume Schneider didn't agree with the decision? Why does everyone?
He's the employee. What choice does he have?
No. But why would you think he didn't agree, though? Why do we automatically assume if we don't like the decision, we think it was taken out of the manager's hands? That's an assumption. I don't know John Schneider very well at all. Maybe John Schneider is really analytics based. Maybe John Schneider is one of those guys that I don't know.
And it's worth remembering. I remember Ross Atkins essentially throwing Schneider under that bus by saying that he did not make that call.
Well, that's true. Yeah, afterwards saying it. Yeah, that's true.
And we didn't really get a good one-on-one discussion about this with Mr. Schneider, who wisely kept his mouth shut on this manner. And now we don't have to worry about it this year because there won't be any playoff baseball.
And isn't that the unfortunate part? People talked about how frustrating it was the last 4 years where they didn't win a playoff game and they lost they won on the last day of the regular season, but they got knocked out of the playoffs on the last day of the regular season in the other year.
Right.
Yeah, you know what? Compared to this year. Oh my goodness, I'll take a baseball playoff appearance and not score and win a game over being 15, 16 games out of the decision. It has been a frustrating year, no doubt.
Okay, so I've got more on that here. Let me give you some gifts here before I play a clip that I recorded last week, and it's kind of a funny little setup. So I've given you the book, which you had a copy, but now you got an extra copy.
Great.
Toronto Maple Leafs History. I have in my freezer, Roger, a large meat lasagna from Palma Pasta.
You gave me one last time, and I can vouch. It was fantastic. So thank you.
It'll be just as good this time. They make delicious, authentic Italian food at Palma Pasta. Go to palmapasta.com. They're in Mississauga and Oakville if you want to go to one of their fine retail stores. In fact, their Palma's Kitchen location will host us for a TMLX event soon, but I'll have details later. I don't have it all shored up yet, so I'm not going to tell you. But I also don't know whether that will be TMLX 16 or TMLX 17. Lots of balls in the air, Roger. I'm a one-man operation.
It's like the Terry Fox run. All this work you got to do to make sure this thing comes out, and you're by yourself. You don't have your army of volunteers.
It's me, myself, and I over here. But I do have a meeting on this Friday. I'm working on something for TMLX 16.
I'm a 3-time alumnus. The pressure's on me now to get out to that thing. Hope you pick a good
3 times,
date.
by the way, since you said that. So you got your pasta, and I am giving you fresh craft beer from Great Lakes Brewery.
Always appreciated.
I got a meeting there. I'm actually going to be at the GLB Brew Pub to meet somebody for a beer on Wednesday. They got a great food at that's at Jarvis and Queens Quay. But I'll be at the South Etobicoke location Friday for a meeting that ties into a possible TML X16. Again, lots of balls in the air, Roger. I'll have more info as it's all determined. But enjoy your delicious
Much appreciated.
There.
Much, and great product as well.
So this is a fun fact for the listenership. I put this on Twitter, but of course most of you didn't see my tweets because Elon Musk has scared you all the way. But this is important. I find this fascinating. It was 9 years ago today, on this day in 2015, that I recorded episode 134 of Toronto Mic'd with Roger Lajoie.
And we did not know that.
No. I only found because every day I pop in and just do a little
history.
So, yeah. And I was shocked to see that the guy who was going to be at my door at 2 p.m. today was at my door 9 years ago today.
Amazing when you think
Happy
about
anniversary.
Coincidence, and happy anniversary to you. And as far as X goes, or Twitter, or whatever the hell it's called now, I got to tell you something. I don't know if anyone else has this issue. All I see is Elon Musk tweets on my timeline, and I don't even follow Elon Musk.
Because it defaults to
is that so?
For you. You have to change it to following, which is something you have to manually do once in a while. It sort of reverts back. But if you click following, you're only going to see tweets from people you follow.
I got that. The reason I keep it open, I like a variety of different opinions. I don't need to see just
like
the tweets of people.
Don't get me wrong. I'm on it every
But
day.
I just wonder why this particular gentleman's account is always at the top of my top line. That's my question. I know how it works, but why is he on the top of the... at any rate, Mike, social media is what it is. Let's move on.
I thought maybe you were looking into buying a Cybertruck.
No.
No Cybertruck for Raj. You can't walk as much if you have a Cybertruck.
I don't want to go to Mars either, or...
A Cybertruck, I'll just say, I saw, I think it was Reddit, there was a video of a guy who was going to show, he had to tear apart his fence, like this pre-molded plastic fence, and he drove his Cybertruck through it to rip it apart to make a good video, but it completely destroyed this truck. Like all the fluids were leaking out the bottom. It really messed up this truck. It was just a kind of a fun little video I was watching on Reddit. But okay, I digress. Enough about him. But I wanted to tell people the description I wrote for that episode 134, if you want to go back. Mike chats with Fan 590 host Roger Lajoie about his lengthy career in radio.
Little did you know.
We were just warming up. His dozens of other gigs.
See? We were talking about
the primetime sports throwdown between Bob McCowan and Stephen Brunt.
Oh, yeah, that was a topic in the day.
That time stamps it. Yep. Stephen Brunt came on this show and said, I will never again co-host a show with Bob McCowan. And then 2 years later, there was a big press release I was reading from Rogers.
He's back.
The return of Stephen Brunt. Who Stephen Brunt comes to TMLX events, Rogers. So
terrific guy.
Point on you.
And you talk about one of the all-time Canadian media legends. There's no question.
And good taste in music, too, for Stephen Brunt. Oh, 1050 Schadenfreude and Blue Jays Fever. This is 2015.
Blue Jays Fever, they were winning. Remember that?
That's my favorite post-93. That's my favorite stretch of Blue Jay mania was that pennant drive and the playoffs of 2015.
You know, I can tell you, and back to the official scoring for a second. So I scored the bat flip game. And that seventh inning, first of all, was you could write a book about the seventh. Never mind, it was only the Texas Rangers. Never mind, it was only the first or second round of the playoffs, whatever it was. It was just
ALDS.
Such an experience, all right? And the bat flip, Mike, I'm not lying. I got my pen out because we score by hand or on paper.
Yep.
You know, I'm putting in. The table was shaking.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding because people say that, oh, the place was shaking. And every time I hear that, I go, yeah, come on, whatever. I know it's loud. Whatever. No, the table was vibrating with the noise from that crowd. After that, what an iconic moment. And yes, they were, and man, did they come close when you think about it. Kansas City, Cleveland, ALCS
Dalton
especially.
Pompey was at third base, and I don't think there was an out.
Inter-county guy. Dalton Pompey played for Guelph.
Royals, absolutely. And
I
I thought I read he was coming back. Like he's a cop now in Hamilton.
Oh, good for
him.
him.
I thought and his brother worked for Great Lakes for a stretch. Tristan Pompey, who's also a hell of a ball player. But it's all connected to the Inter-County Baseball League. Okay. So, although I don't think Tristan, he got an injury, but the Pompey father, quick fun fact about K. Pompey, his name's Kenrick. Kenrick, before he had the Pompey boys, he was a dancer on Electric Circus.
Oh, wow.
He was known as the cowboy dancer. So he was a very notable dancer. People who were watching Electric Circus in the early days always knew the cowboy dancer. That was Kenrick Pompey, and he would go on to father Dalton
Major League
Pompey,
Baseball player.
Yeah, Major League Baseball player.
Fun fact indeed.
Fun fact indeed. And because I mentioned Electric Circus, okay, this is what I do on this show, Roger. I don't know if I would be as effective on the Fan 590 because my tangents might not work well in terrestrial radio. But I can tell you, a co-creator, if not the creator of Electric Circus, is a guy named Joel Goldberg. He was on CFMT hosting video shows in the early 80s as Jay Gold. He went on again. He went to work for Toronto Rocks at the 99 Queen Street East, the Chum City building. He moved over to 299 Queen. They started Electric Circus. He created it. He was born and raised in Cleveland. So coincidentally, Roger, I'm at an event last Thursday night. Nothing to do with Toronto Mike. I was actually recording from the grand opening of a wellness spa, basically, and health center. It's called Bespoke Wellness Group. I'm there recording. In the crowd, I see FOTMs like Dominic Shulo, Dwight Drummond, and Joel Goldberg. So I record with them. But before we talk wellness, I want to warm up my guest a bit, get them sounding right, get them comfortable. So Joel Goldberg is on my mic last Thursday. So I have a recording of the first minute when I'm just warming him up. I'm recording, like I'm going to edit this out. But I said, hey, I'll play it on Toronto Mike with Roger Lajoie. So this is a Cleveland baseball fanatic and a chat I had with him. FOTM Joel Goldberg. Let's listen. Can I interest you in taking Shapiro and Atkins back?
No. You know what? I was just talking to Dwight about that, and they did the same thing to the Guardians that they did to Toronto.
See, this is the real talk right here.
There was a GM named John Hart, and he had that first wave of the Cleveland Indians actually doing well, and they made it to the
Jim Thome era? Or or is it later than that?
No, that's the Jim Thome era.
That was a good team.
Yeah. Jim Thome, Manny Ramirez, all those guys. Albert Bell.
Right. Don't call me Joey.
And that was John Hart. He built that team up. Young players, long-term contracts. Sandy Alomar. And they went to the World Series.
Yeah.
And they won 5 division titles. John Hart leaves. They hire Shapiro. And it's in Shapiro's whole time there, they made the playoffs once against Boston, and they lost. Then he leaves. We're all happy. Then they bring in Tito Francona.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they're back in the World Series again.
You're depressing me.
Yeah.
So this is just like a spontaneous chit-chat just to make sure he's on the mic. And we're all
the Cleveland fans certainly are familiar with the Blue Jays front office. There is no question about that.
I know this gets tricky for you because I know even though you're not a full-time employee, you know, you're gunning for 5,000 shifts at the Fan 590, which is owned by Rogers, the same company that owns the Toronto Blue Jays. People probably know this. Many a person listening now probably has a cable package, or maybe their cell service or their internet is with this company, the Big Red Machine. So, yeah, I don't know if you have to play it careful or not. You tell me. But how much of this 2024 disappointment should Mark Shapiro and or Ross Atkins wear?
I think anyone in the front office should wear every season. Not just this one, every season. And so I will say it's their fault. However, Mike Woolner in the Toronto Star had a great story a couple of days ago. I really enjoyed reading, where he talked to several Blue Jays players, and they gave a spin on this, which I found very interesting. And to a man, they basically all said that they had no idea and could not understand why Blue Jay fans wanted to have all the accountability put on the front office, where in other franchises and cities they have played in, the accountability is on the players. People aren't saying, what the hell is wrong with George Springer? His OPS is 694. Whatever happened to him? It's no, Atkins, Shapiro, and this in the front office. I'm not dodging the question, Mike. You just heard me.
I read that piece. I read that piece.
Yeah, to me, it was Chris Bassett was the front guy on the story. Springer is also quoted in the story. And basically, that's where it came into. So, yeah. And I do see that, and they should wear it. They've had a long run here. I have advocated on air. I think it's time they make a change. But flip side, and I'm not walking it back, is, okay, so they took over the team from Alex Anthopoulos, who did a great job, really got him going. 2015, 2016, they had this great team that was an aging team, and we knew it was the last kick at the can.
But made the ALCS.
They did.
Both years.
They did. But that team wasn't making the ALCS the next season. That team was all in, Mike, for a run. That team was Edwin. Look how fast Batista dropped
20 minutes ago, you said how close they were to the World Series with Dalton Pompey.
They were. 100%. However, take it from the time they took over until today, and I know there's no playoff wins, but for 4 years, there were 90-plus wins and in the playoffs 3 out of 4 years. And that's not a World Series team, and it's not good enough. It's the X. I got it. But when people, Mike, come up with a viewpoint, it's just confirmation bias, is that everything they look at, the Blue Jays have been a disaster. That's not a disaster. 4 years in a row or 3 or 4 years in the playoffs, and 90-plus wins is not a disaster. So I think from that end, I think the accountability, back to Mike's story, really deserves to be as much on the players as it is on the front office. But that said, I think they've had a long run. I think it's
9
time
years,
for a
right?
change. It's 9 years.
Okay, so if you exclude because we talk about the 2016 team, which was technically under the Atkins era, but it was.
No, that's Alex's team.
It was Alex's team. So that's why I'm saying let's disregard 2016 playoff wins. So if we disregard that, because we agree that's Alex's team, then 0 playoff wins. And you're right, it's not a complete disaster. There's been playoff appearances. We haven't won a single game in this 9-year stretch. But it felt to me like last year's team. It never felt. This again, what do I know? No analytics to speak of here. I'm speaking as a guy watching the games. I'm a big Blue Jay fan. It felt like last year's team wasn't good enough, and maybe the evidence is that they were swept out in that first round. But it seemed like we went all in on this fantasy that Shohei Ohtani. I mentioned Stephen Brunt attends TMLX events. As luck would have it, he was my first guest for the last TMLX event at Palma's Kitchen, which was the day after the phantom flight to Toronto, where, and I don't have to remind you, I think Blair and Barker went live with an unscheduled Jays talk because the hype was so real. There were reputable baseball insiders, I think John Morosi, tweeting that Ohtani was on that flight to Toronto.
Until Bob Nightingale told them, no, he's not. Yeah. Correct.
Well, this was until this flight landed, and what's his name from the Dragon's Den? Robert Herjavec.
Right.
It was his plane. He got off that plane. Ohtani was signing with the Dodgers. He signed that morning during our event at Palma's Kitchen. He signed with the Dodgers. So going all in on Ohtani, which of course did not materialize, and really to me, you were a worse team on paper than you were the previous year, which wasn't a good enough team. It did feel like the on-field team that we were putting out in 2024 was not going to be good enough. On this program, I predicted 76 wins, I think, for the 2024 Blue Jays. This team deserves to finish last in the AL East, and that's probably where they will wind up. We'll see.
They're probably not going to. They're probably going to go on a bit of a run.
They're on a little run here.
Yeah, right. Whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
But whatever, garbage time or whatever. So I don't see how you can bring back the same general manager when we're at this point in the 9-year regime.
I will not disagree with that, and I just said I agree with you. I will just add another opinion to that, though. First of all, I don't blame Atkins and Shapiro for the Ohtani plane debacle. That's a media thing. That's a ridiculous
thing. Can't they make a call? They must know Ohtani's not on that flight. Seriously, because the Fan 590 was a big part of this to me.
Make a call. What do you mean?
The Fan 590.
You want them to say Ohtani's not on the plane.
Right. Exactly. Because Blair and Barker this is on that day, because I had bought in with the Morosi tweet and all this, tracking the stupid flight. I feel like an idiot even telling you this, but tracking the flight, having a person
I was at the station that day and I was on air. You don't have to tell me tracking that flight.
But from the fan perspective, so I'm in. I'm like, oh my God, it's happening. Ohtani's on that flight. There's stupid stuff flying around about Kikuchi having a reservation
in a restaurant.
So all these things are happening. A lot of it turned out to be BS. But now I'm in. Oh God, he's on that flight. This is actually happening. Ohtani's going to sign with the Toronto Blue Jays. Like, this is happening. So when Blair and Barker have an unscheduled Jays talk where they're basically like exploiting the hype, sort of talking Blue Jay baseball on that date, which was like early December or something like that. So there was not going to be a Jays talk that day, but there was because of the hype around Ohtani on this flight. Why not tell Blair or Barker Ohtani's not on that flight?
Well, I don't know what they were doing for that 2 or 3 hour period that they would have interrupted their day and say, geez, yeah, guys, just for the sake of... So I can't even comment on that. I don't know, Mike.
Right.
But you mentioned in terms of the hype. I go back to that again. The hype was created by fans and media and speculation,
yes,
and which is all fine and dandy.
They stoked the flames by putting on that unscheduled Blair and Barker Jays talk.
Well, stoke the flames. You're just reacting to people's. You're just reacting. It's
but
not
imagine
stoking
if
the
they
flames.
could break the story. Good sources tell us Ohtani's not on this flight.
Nobody did.
I know, but this goes back, Roger. This is me telling you.
Yeah, you think they should contact him.
Atkins should call whoever the general manager is, at the Fan 590 and say, Ohtani's not on that flight. That news it would take, in this day and age, it would take an instant to get that news to the on-air hosts. Ohtani's not on that flight.
Well, like I said, I don't know if he knows where Ohtani is. I'm just looking. He's sitting in his office. He's sitting in his. Oh, wait a minute. You went ahead now, so you let me go. He's sitting there. He's sitting there in his office. He's sitting in his office or whatever. And I don't know what he's doing. This story developed over a couple of quick hours. You're saying it is incumbent on him to call and say Ohtani's not on the plane. How does he know whether Ohtani? He might know. Listen, he's not coming to sign with the Blue Jays. But he doesn't. What does he know where Ohtani is? How does anybody know where Ohtani is?
I'm reading between the lines. And again, we don't know anything. We're just speculating here. That's what you do in sports. We're just talking. You think it's possible Atkins/Shapiro. Let's talk about Atkins since he's the GM. Atkins doesn't know Ohtani's not on that flight. Maybe Ohtani is coming to Toronto. Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm suggesting he does not know where he is.
All right.
Anybody could say.
So do you think at that point Atkins thinks there's still a chance he's going to land Ohtani?
I can't speak for him, and I don't speak for other people. I don't speak for other people. All I know is the next day he signs with the Dodgers.
Right, the next morning.
As we all know. The next morning he signs with them. But I know that hype is media fan-driven, and I don't blame people who are involved in that for that hype and that stuff. Your point being is they should be listening to the fan or paying attention to the radio station, and they hear this is coming, and it's incumbent on them to go in and dictate the programming and tell them to take Jay's talk off because Ohtani is not on the. As far as we know, Ohtani is not on the plane. Is that's a reach in my mind.
If you know Ohtani is not signing with the Jays and Ohtani's not on that flight, then yes.
Two different questions. You said did they know he was not signing with the Jays that day?
Right.
I don't know.
He wanted to have sushi with Kikuchi and some buddies there. Who knows? Okay, you're right. But I will say that the Fan 590, this is not just pure fan stuff. It goes beyond the Morosi tweet, that the fact that you go live with your Jays talk is you are fanning these flames, okay? It is part of the whole
You are responding to people's talking. If you don't go on the air, they're going, what the hell is wrong with you? The official station of the Jays, you got to go on and talk about that. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't, Mike. If you're in that kind of position, it does not matter what you do, you're going to be criticized. And if you can't take criticism, you should not be in the media business. If we did nothing that day. Oh, yeah, all this hype's going on. Yeah, let's do our hockey show and talk about the Leafs playing Nashville on Tuesday. People go, what the hell is wrong with them?
Yeah,
they're not even covering the story.
You're missing it, which is sources tell us Ohtani is not on that flight.
There was no sources telling us that.
Right. And then this is a cyclical discussion.
Go back again.
There should have been a source telling you that.
And I'm telling you, I do not know that these guys know for a fact, or they're even, maybe, I don't know maybe they're in a plane, maybe they're having dinner, maybe there's we're all obsessed with this. We just assume that everybody is following it. So there's a lot to criticize, but the Ohtani thing for me was, I gave them, here's my criticism, is the second the next morning he's signing, you sign somebody else. You have plan B. You've got another thing down the works. You got a Soto deal. You went from Ohtani, $70 million, to Isaiah
39-year-old
IKF, third baseman, and Justin Turner. That's your answer?
Right.
That's my problem. No, I didn't think Shohei Ohtani was ever signing in Toronto. I think that was just driven to, and he was, I don't know if it's him or his handlers or whatever, that just drove his price up even more, and you got an extra $50 million from the LA Dodgers. So he's the winner in all this.
I will never listen to Morosi again. Okay, Bo Bichette. What do we do with Bo Bichette? Does Bo Bichette, there was a Rosie DiMano piece that suggested he was, I would use the word disgruntled, but he seemed to needed to find his mojo.
Did you read Shai Davides?
Yes,
recently?
That's right. So then I read Shai Davides, and it sounds like he wants to spend the rest of his career with Vladdy Guerrero Jr. As a member of the Toronto Blue Jays. Let's lock up or whatever. What did the Jays do? He had a terrible year. He was injured, but it was statistically a terrible year for Bo Bichette. What are your thoughts on Bo Bichette and his future of the Toronto Blue Jays? Should we trade this guy?
It's a great question, and it's a great dilemma, and I'd re-sign him. I don't have to think about that too much. He had a rough couple of months, injury-riddled, and his 6-year sample size in Major League Baseball is very, very good. Led the league in hits in 2 years. Well, I don't have to re-psych him. Everybody knows.
Prior to this season, I think most of us felt like Bo might be the better bet than Vladdy for a period of time.
Everybody did. Right. Mike, I did shows on this Vladdy Bo. Which one would you keep?
Right.
The last 2 years.
Bo.
And the narrative completely switched. At the end of the last year, Vladdy got picked off second in the playoff spot. He's too obsessed with that home run jacket. He's always laughing and smiling at the dugout.
Right.
Blah, 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 because he was hitting 260 and had 18 homers on average. Now he's a hitter again.
Well, he just had to cut his hair.
Bo Bichette is sulky. You look at him, he's got his face and he doesn't look happy. And it's like they're too happy. They're too sad. They celebrate too much. Now they're not happy anymore. Everybody's miserable with the team. But you asked the question about Bichette.
Yeah.
I would sign them both. Presuming, and it looks like, if Bichette's comments to Shai Davides are correct. Right. And here's another thing. You're talking about Toronto and long-term commitment. Okay, well, if they're not signing, who are you going to sign then? Who are you getting? Like, it's like, what do we keep saying is, the big star. Soto is never going to sign with the Jays. Okay, then who is? You go after somebody else. And you've got a guy now. Look at the second half. Vladdy, this is the second half for the ages.
Right.
And he apparently wants to play here. Right. And Bichette, bad season for sure, wants to be here. Okay, well, if it's not Bichette playing shortstop, who's playing shortstop for the next 10 years for the Blue Jays? You can throw out some names. I'm not trying to come up with names. I'm just saying you've got one. You have one. So I would sign them both if presuming they both want to stay. Now, if they don't, obviously, you get rid of them. That's easy.
The narrative around Bo Bichette, to me, is very similar to the narrative around Mitch Marner, I find. Like so you have this extremely talented, gifted player and a lack of playoff success. People kind of wanted to, the rhetoric anyways, which you heard on your program probably 100 times, was we can't keep bringing back this core, this big four, and expecting different results. Like we need to, something has to change. You're not getting rid of Austin Matthews. No, don't you dare. Nobody will take Tavares. He's an aged man now. And it always ends up, and you don't want to get rid of Nylander because he's great value at the what he brings to the table. So it always comes back to Mitch Marner. Okay, Mitch Marner has to go. But it looks like Mitch is back. So what are your thoughts on the upcoming season, the Toronto Maple Leafs? The rhetoric that they were going to get rid of Marner or trade Marner, this did not materialize.
Well, the rhetoric, again, was not from the front office. The rhetoric was from fans and media discussing it.
Sure.
And Mitch Marner's playoff failures, and they are failures, are well documented. And again, I'll say the same thing about him as I say about Bichette. He's a 95-point average guy in the National Hockey League, and ask anybody who plays in the league, and they'll say he's one of the premier players in the league. Fine, we can't. This is unacceptable. We have not broken through yet. Okay, what's your alternative? So who's getting 95 points for the Toronto Maple Leafs now? If that's what you're going to... So it's easy to say, you're bringing it back, and you're getting the same results. I say the same thing about the Maple Leafs. Other day, people were talking about it, and texters to the station, the Leafs have been a disaster. They've made the playoffs 8 years in a row. They've averaged 100 points a season. They beat Tampa Bay in the first round. They lost in 7 games to Boston with Matthews and Nylander both missing 3 games in the series, and it was still Game 7 of overtime. I know, it's not good enough. I know, you want to win a Stanley. Mike, that is not a disaster.
Right. No, a disaster would be missing the playoffs. You're right. We have playoff hockey in this market. We just have the single playoff round to speak of in the past 20 years. Did you know that 2004 was the last time we went around prior to this one round?
I'm
against
very
Tampa?
familiar with the Maple Leafs 20-year drought. Waffles on the ice. I remember that. I never really understood.
Kessel.
Yeah, never really understood that. Yes, by comparison. And by the way, we again take the big picture of the Blue Jays. So 92, 93. What did they do from 94 to 2015, Mike? 21 years. Would you have taken a few playoff appearances in that 21-year period?
We never got to see Carlos Delgado.
And we had Roger Clemens. And we had Carlos Delgado and Roy Halladay.
I know. And that awful logo. I'm still mad at that logo. I can't blame the logo. Just never wanted to own that logo.
Which one? They've had a few.
Yeah, they had they had two I didn't like. One was like an angry bird.
Do you like their City Connects?
I'm indifferent to them. I can see why people like them.
Yeah, they grew on me. I didn't like them at first, but I like them now.
I like the current logo, which is taking that original logo and just like mild little touches on it to kind of modernize it. I did not like the angry bird that we had for a period of time in the Halladay Delgado.
Yeah, he was mad looking. Yeah, I don't like madness.
Just didn't like it. And they just didn't like it. I want to, let me see where I'm going here. I want to shout out Matt Layden in Edmonton. Matt Layden texts me
all the time.
Twitters me.
He wants to know what's on your show. That's great.
But he DMs me every day, which you don't see. But he does publicly message me, and then and again, I won't even ask you because you're not running the Fan 590. Okay, you come in for your shift.
I know what you're referring to. I saw his text.
I'm not going to touch it. But he seems passionate about restocking the shelves at Sportsnet. He's like a wannabe general manager of a talk radio station in Toronto, which is fine. I love his spirit. So shout out to Matt Layden in Edmonton. He promised he would listen, and I just want to say hello to Matt.
I say hello to Matt, and thank you for supporting Mike, and good on you.
One gentleman, and again, you can't speak to personnel decisions at the Fan 590, but what we know of in the Jeff Merrick situation is interesting because it sounds like he was disclosing picks moments before they were made, and this burned him. It sounds to me, and again, I have to get Jeff on the program so he can talk about it, but it sounds like he might have trusted a buddy too much and he got burned. But I will just say this, Gentleman Jeff is a great guy for me to deal with. I would often book him on Humble and Fred. He's been over here on Toronto Mike. He's been over here. I have such a great relationship with Jeff Merrick because he's just seems like a genuinely good guy. And I don't know if there's a more knowledgeable hockey head out there than Jeff Merrick. I think he'll be very much missed by your organization at Sportsnet.
I echo that 100% in every way, as a person and as the organization. And I don't know I know what you know about that in terms of details, Mike. And I'm not dodging. Yeah, they put it out there. It is what it is. It's a loss. And there is not a finer guy. And I remember him back in the live audio wrestling days of the Fan 590. I saw firsthand how hard he worked to develop his career. There will be great things ahead for him, I am sure.
One of the great pivots in Canadian sports media history was the Jeff Merrick pivot from wrestling guy to NHL hockey guy.
Fantastic. When you think, but that shows you, people, it's how do you become a guy, eh? And that's an interesting thing because, Mike, I did teaching a long time, 10 years at both College of Sports Media and Ryerson University. Right. And I had a lot of people, students tell me, how do you become the guy? How do you become the guy? That's a great question. And you become the guy when a program director thinks you're the guy. The program director says, okay, this guy is it. He's a guy. And you become the guy. You get the gig. You get the opportunity. And off you go. Somebody saw something in Jeff Merrick, obviously, back in the day where there's a guy who can become a guy. And once you're doing it, you become the guy.
Right.
And there's an element, there's some luck, but ultimately I always look at it, you need a combination of, how did I phrase it back at school? You need talent, hard work, and luck. Right. But the talented, hardworking people, they seem to get all the luck. Isn't that funny? Isn't that funny?
Funny how that works out.
That's
Roger.
Real funny how that works out.
You know who does take partial credit for the career of Jeff Merrick? Because I produce a show for them in 2024. It's Humble and Fred, because when Humble and Fred had a morning show on Mojo Radio 640, do you remember Mojo?
Oh, I remember them. And Humble and Fred were, you talk about legends. They've done 5,000 shows. More.
Yeah, I got to add those up one day. But when they had their morning show on 640 Mojo Radio, talk radio for guys, Jeff Merrick was employed there, and they fought management to get Jeff Merrick to be their news guy because they liked this kid, they liked the rap on him, and they basically got what they wanted at some point, and Jeff Merrick was the news guy for Humble and Fred, and that is kind of part of what helps that with the live audio wrestling kind of creates the Jeff Merrick that we know and love today.
Yeah, there's a trajectory to it, but it's all over the place. It takes help, it takes a boost, it takes some luck, but again, here's a person, you see the skill, they like the guy, he's a hard worker, it's come on, give this guy a break,
and
you get that break, take it. George Strombolopoulos, an even better example. George Strombolopoulos, was producing one of my shows. We did, back in the day, we used to do live remote shows from the X. And George Strombolopoulos was a producer, and he would be going around, he'd be getting hockey people, Steve Thomas is here, and bring him in. Just hustle, work. And then all of a sudden, this just showed you he was always thinking differently. He comes over and he goes, Roger, I got the guy who's gone for here, guess the weight thing here. And I think it's kind of interesting. And okay, put him on and it was absolutely hilarious. It was absolutely, and I'm not a guy, I don't like that kind of stuff, to be honest with you, Mike, but just, he knew it. And you look at his career, I cannot say enough about Jeff Merrick and George Strombolopoulos, because I had a seat to watch them. When George would finish his shift, he'd sleep on the couch because he was going to the music station afterwards.
Edge 102.
Yes, just before he got on Much Music. Just before he made his breakthrough.
Yeah, he did the punk show on 102 first.
Correct. And he would be working, hopping at the fan.
And live in Toronto.
Just incredible.
Now, since you mentioned Merrick and you mentioned Strombo, I want to shout out the father of the other guy in that trio I always think of, who were on all night on the fan doing the game. Bob Macko Jr. So Bob Macko Jr., who is an FOTM like you, Roger, he's thick as thieves with both Jeff and Strombo, particularly Strombo, but they're really good buds to this day. And they were on the air because Macko Jr.'s dad, who was the program director, sadly passed away earlier this year. Bob Makowitz Sr., did you have a relationship with Macko Sr.? Yeah,
he was a program director for a very brief period of time at the fan. Liked him very much. Really upfront guy, real funny man, as I remember, and did not last long because he had a tough tenure. Alan Davis was the original program director, and in 1994, Alan had moved on, I believe. I'm not sure the timeline, but regardless, maybe he upstairs, whatever the deal was. But then Bob Makowitz Sr. became the program director, and he came in at a real tough time. The baseball strike wiped out 1994, as you know. There was a hockey lockout time. I remember listening back in the days when we did updates on the fan. The lead story on the update was a Chicago Wolves game from the American Hockey League, and I'm going, oh my God, are we in trouble? What are we going to talk about? That was the one time we almost went country and Western music, like you said.
Yeah, Millman talks about that.
I know nobody says and Western anymore, but country music.
He credits Pat Marsden.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He really made a difference, man. Brought the juice to the morning show. I heard that broadcast, actually.
Yeah. He told me. He credits, he said, because he talked about that time. You got no baseball, you got no hockey. You're an all-sports station. And Nelson then, I guess, succeeded him and, of course, spent a long, long time in the glory years of the fan. So, yeah, 100%. Oh, yeah. And if in these conversations I have with Millman, he'll tell you that the toughest day he ever had as program director of the fan was saying goodbye to Storm and Norman Rumack. It's tough. It is always tough, Mike, and especially a guy like Norm who's beloved. And I don't say that because I'm his friend. He's a beloved guy. Never mind, like Don Landry, Mike Hogan, and Gord Stellick, who still remains associated with the station. You're talking about guys who, heart and soul guys at the state. Barb DiGiulio, another terrific person, terrific employee. It's the business of it is tough. And the problem is all business is tough, Mike, but our business is so public that when something like that happens, everybody knows. Oh, you're telling me, man. Somebody's got to document this stuff. That's what I'm here for. Okay. That's right. Another woman at Sportsnet, not on the radio side, but on the television side, who was there a very long time. And I had a visit from her a couple of summers ago, and it was a wonderful episode of Toronto Mic'd. But the news came out earlier this month that Christine Simpson is no longer with Sportsnet. So that's kind of two of the bigger things. Again, we're not going to ask the Matt in Edmonton questions because they're very specific, choose your own adventure GM questions. But Christine Simpson had a great run, and it'll be sad not seeing her on the hockey games. A legend. Christine Simpson is a legend. And back to Matt. And Matt, here's the thing, Matt. Those of us that are employed as broadcasters have no say in terms of what transpires at the station. Right. And I don't want to say we're hoping we're not going to be next, because it's not that cut, or don't get me wrong, but it's
management has its way. There are a lot of factors that go in to hiring and firing people, and to make an assumption, especially, well, this guy's left there, so now he'll just go to, I love it all the time. Guy leaves sports, oh, he'll go to TSN. And the guy leaves TSN, oh, he'll go to Rogers. Well, first of all, whose job is he taking at TSN and Rogers, or her job at TSN and Rogers? You know what I mean? It's a competitive business. There's only so many opportunities. All I can say, Christine Simpson is a Hall of Famer. There is just, nobody tells stories better, and nothing but best wishes for her. And yes, she will be missed.
Absolutely. Brian Gerstein is listening to us right now. Hello to Brian Gerstein. Good FOTM. He writes, I loved listening to Aces and still miss it. By the way, Brian, big tennis head, okay? Why did the show end? Was it due to Tom winding down his career? That's FOTM Tom Tebbit. Was it ratings? I would love some closure on this. So, Roger Lajoie, are you in a place right now to give Brian Gerstein some closure?
Oh, sure.
Why did Aces end?
Brian, thank you for listening, and I appreciate it. And I've heard from Brian in the past as well. So Aces was a 1-hour tennis show, which appeared 10 times a season for, I'm going to say, a 10 or 11 period. It was anchored and done by Tom Tebbit, who was an employee of Tennis Canada. Tennis Canada was the sponsor of the show, as you can understand, Mike. They invested the money in the show. They put it on. A 1-hour tennis-specific show requires a sponsor, because we'll talk tennis, and I have tennis guests all the time, but tennis is not in sports talk radio in Toronto.
The ears.
It won't. It just doesn't. I mean, it's just the way it is. So its time passed. Tom moved on, and therefore Tennis Canada made the decision that they were no longer going to do the show. But we appreciate your listening, and we still talk a lot of tennis on the Fan, but that's what happened to Aces.
Well, good on you for sharing that, because now at least that makes sense.
He understands.
Now Brian has closure.
There you go.
It's all about having closure. And in a small world story, my third born plays house league hockey at Mimico Arena. And one of the coaches there, in fact, coached my boy a couple of years ago, is a guy named Mike McIntyre. And Mike McIntyre is co-hosting like a Tennis Canada podcast now.
Numerous time guest on our shows. Back to Brian's comment text. Mike McIntyre has been on our show many times. We use him during the U.S. Open, the National Bank Open, all the major tennis events, whenever a tennis story breaks. So back to Brian's thing is Mike McIntyre is kind of like a new Tom Tebbit. He covers tennis for a variety of outlets, and we're delighted to have him. Good guy, too.
It's a small world after all, Roger.
Sure
and I many years ago now, I'm thinking like 5 years ago, maybe whenever Leila Fernandez was in the Grand Slam.
Open?
Yeah, she was in a final. And I said to Mike, at that time, I said, the next time a Canadian, because at that time all these young Canadians were coming up, and we thought we'd have a Canadian in a Grand Slam final at least every calendar year. And I said, the next time a Canadian is in a Grand Slam final, I said, you're going to come on over and make your Toronto Mike debut. Well, we're still waiting, Roger.
He's not responded? He's
no.
Not you're waiting. You need the contact.
We need the Canadian in a Grand Slam final.
So back to Brian. See, Brian, that's why. That's why it's like it needs either a specific sponsor, or a reason to talk to them.
Get Felix in a Grand Slam final, and then we can.
It's been a tough year for the Canadian players.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Tough year. They were really. I thought we were going to have multiple champions. Now,
that's what I'm saying.
Davis Cup was sensational. You could have.
But I don't think the average Joe, at least, I don't think we know or understand or care really what this. Davis
You are
Cup
correct.
is.
You know, I think I mentioned this in a previous time I've been here with you, Mike. Yeah. Is that I forget? It was Don Collins, program director, who said, and he spoke to our students, and he came in one day and he took questions, and the kids are going, you guys are always talking about the Leafs, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, well, actually, that's true and it's not true. And he explained the lineup. He says, yes, hockey season in particular, Leafs, but, he said, but then he said, okay, then he asked them a question. What time do you get up in the morning? So one kid put 7 o'clock. The other guy says, what time do you get up? I'm 8 o'clock. The other guy gets up at 6 o'clock. He said, you three guys, you get up at 6 o'clock, you turn on the radio. The Leafs lost 10-0 and fired their coach. And we're talking about the Leafs. You get up at 7 o'clock, you turn the radio on, Leafs lost 10-0, we're talking about the Leafs. You get up at 8 o'clock, and we're talking about the Argos to mix it up. You're going, what the hell are they talking about? Back to your Ohtani thing.
Right.
What the hell are they talking about hockey for? Ohtani's on a plane coming to Toronto. Right. Same kind of thing. You have to respond to what it is. And I think it was Alan Davis who said, look at your shows as top 40 radio. What do you hear on the top 40 radio stations? The same 40 songs all the time. Why is that? Because that's what people want to hear.
You want to hear the hits. Yeah.
So play the hits. So back to it. If it's not winning the U.S. Open, I'm sorry, tennis is not a hit.
I watched a lot of tennis back in the day, like Boris Becker, and I'm going back here now.
You are old, man. You're really starting.
But I had a run where I loved my, but it was always Grand Slam tennis. I never gave a rat's ass about any tournament except a Grand Slam when it comes to tennis. And I'll say, I don't think we care about this noise I was hearing about the Davis Cup. Like, this is unprecedented. They've got, who gives a fuck? Pardon my French. This is my show. I guess I can swear. You can't do this on your show, Roger. But I don't think the Davis Cup resonates with us average Joes, unless you're a tennis head like Brian. What is it? I still don't really get what it is.
Well, Davis Cup is an international tennis competition.
Cares about it.
Yeah, and here's another thing that happened. It also, they won it because of the time difference. At the exact same time, the Canadian men's soccer team qualified for the Olympics.
Which I was excited about.
It was exactly the same time, though. You talk about bad timing. Bad timing is special, and yeah, there's no doubt it is. And I know people, look at that, but I go back to Alan Davis's voice in my head. Play the hits, man. Play the hits. Is like, it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's a big moment for Canadian tennis. Okay, get Mike McIntyre on for 15. Get him on for 15 minutes, but we're not doing a tennis show.
Okay. Perfect timing for James Fraser's question. He heard Roger Lajoie was returning to Toronto Mike. He wrote in and said, there are a lot of self-professed football fans in Toronto, as Roger knows. And CFL football is great entertainment, as Roger also knows. So what's the secret formula to building that bridge? That was the James Fraser question. I think I'll just summarize it to say, if there's a lot of football fans in the city and CFL football is so great, why does it get so little coverage on Sportsnet radio?
If we ever came up with a podcast or a show or a specialty show topic of top 10 Toronto sports questions of all time that are always used year after year after year, is it why doesn't anybody like the Argos? And the late, great Jim Hunt, there's another guy from back in the day, the radio Hall of Famer. Shaky. Jim Hunt said the CFL is like porn. Everybody watches it, nobody admits it. And I can't think of a better description because the ratings are good. Even in
television
Toronto,
ratings are
television ratings are good.
But they don't fill BMO Field.
They don't fill BMO Field, and it just doesn't resonate. And yeah, go back to the days 20 years ago with the blackout. They didn't even have home games on TV. The CFL are terrible marketers. Everybody loves the NFL too much. Some people think the NFL is not in Canada because the CFL exists. It's a second-rate league compared to the American League. You can go on and on and on. Frustrating to me. I love it. I talk about it when I can. Back to Alan Davis in my head. Play the hits. We do more NFL because that's what people want to hear. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, I root for the Argos. I will attend a game now and then. I was really big on the Flutie years. If I go back again, the Rahib Rocket Ishmael years were
John Candy.
Super hype. Yeah, super hype time. Gretzky, Candy, and McNall. That was a big deal to me. I love pinball. I saw his last game. I made sure I bought a ticket and went to his final game. I just had the agent for Ricky Williams on the show, and I was very excited to see that Ricky Williams was going to wear the double blue. So I'm rooting for him, but the fact they can't fill that damn BMO Field, and the one time they kind of came close, they laid an egg. The playoff game last year.
Oh, that was frustrating.
So it's like, but why? I don't understand. TFC can play whoever, and why does TFC draw so much better than the Argos at BMO Field?
Great question. Changing demographics is one that leaps to the top of the mind. Maybe there's more dedicated soccer fans because of our multicultural city, and they're into it and they're willing to come down there. But that sounds lame because it's the only
you're
one
hitting it on the head. It's those Argos fans are 905ers, and that's a tough. They like their car. They don't want to take the go.
They don't want to go down there, and that's a frustrating thing because people look at it all the time. Oh, well, look where they're playing. It's like, well, 30,000 TFC fans find their way down there.
I just went to.
People go to concerts all the time down there.
You're 100% right. I just went to the C&E Band Shell to see Cypress Hill, and I took the go, and I'm thinking the whole time, oh my God, is this convenient?
I take the go every day.
A short walk from Exhibition.
And I'll tell you one thing, Mike, that's another, we talk about topics you can talk about all the time. Yeah. People say, oh, the location, and people add, the reason people don't go is the stadium's out in the middle of nowhere. Have you ever been to a Buffalo Bills game? The stadium is in the middle of nowhere. The traffic is horrendous. And you tell somebody, hey, you got tickets, Bills game? Let's go! And you're in your car for 3.5 hours going and 3.5 back, and you know what? You don't care.
Right.
Because you want to see the NFL.
And-
so, listen, that is not an excuse.
Yeah, and
as a
believe that
location.
middle of nowhere. Oh yeah, you mean where Exhibition Stadium was until '89 or whatever, right?
Served as the Argo. Argo sold that place out back in the day all the time.
Shout out to Howard Berger.
Howard Berger is
Argos head.
another legend from the Fan.
Absolutely. Good FOTM there. All right, we're winding down, but Diamond Dog wants me to ask you what sport you would talk about more if you didn't care about playing the hits. I rephrased it based on your terminology, but basically if listener interest was irrelevant, so this is a fantasy world where you don't care if anyone listens, what sport would you be talking about more on 590?
Intercounty baseball and junior hockey, because I worked in both of them, to be honest with you.
That's the answer.
That's my answer. I would, and if you want more of a mainstream, Argos, tennis, and golf.
Yeah.
I think tennis
Good
and
answers.
golf are sports that have good conversation, but with golf, we treat the same way as we do tennis. It's the U.S. Open, that's great, or the Canadian Open's in town this year, great. Let's talk about the Canadian Open and the other 50 weeks of the year, not so much. That is a great question. Thank you for that.
Did you know there was an actor named Roger Lajoie?
No idea.
And he was on Bewitched.
No idea.
Okay,
That
that's
is
a fun fact.
I'm
for
going to
you.
have to check that out.
Yep. Roger Lajoie was
I had
on
no
Bewitched.
idea.
That's a fun fact for you. And here's another fun fact for the listenership. See, I do my homework, Roger. You were married to two Ritas, but not at the same time, right? These are two different...
Yes, thank you for that. My first wife's name was Rita. Let's clarify that right now.
Okay.
My first wife's name was Rita, and my second wife's name is Rita. Yes.
What were the odds on that, Roger?
Pretty slim. Kind of the same as being the official scorer for both ends of the Bowden Francis no-hitter.
No, I'd say that the Rita's thing is far more obscure because you were one of a small pool that were going to score those games at the Dome.
Rita back in the day wasn't that uncommon a name, folks. Maybe it sounds like that way to you now, but there were a lot of people named Rita back. Lovely Rita, meter maid.
Somebody crunch the numbers and get back to us. What were the odds that Roger would marry two Ritas? Okay. Now, you marry all the Ritas you want, but your sports media career, that's the love of your life.
Where did you just come up with that one from?
So if the love of your life...
First it's cockroach, now I'm married to two Ritas at the same time, according to you.
Well, facts are facts, right? We can't argue facts. You know that.
Jeez.
Is there anyone other than Marilyn Dennis, who is the morning show host on Chum 104.5? She's doing it today. In fact, she's working from home with a new co-host. I got the press release from Bell Media. I read these press releases. So Marilyn Dennis, she was already the morning show host when you started on The Fan back in 92. Yeah. So can you, off the top of your head, can you name another Toronto radio personality who has been on the air at the same station the same length of time that you've been on The Fan, excluding Marilyn Dennis?
Wow. Currently, I don't think there's anybody. I don't listen, and I'm not as in tune to the personalities at other stations, so I apologize if there is somebody who is a legend of another station, not that I'm aware of. I will bring out, because we mentioned earlier, other fan people, Gord Stellick, Norm Rumack, Bob McCowan, who have probably done more shows than I have. Wally Crowder at CFRB was the morning man for 50 years. Now, you think about that, Mike.
Well, shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. He's not there now.
And think about it, though. 50 years.
Well, you're on your way, buddy. You're on your way. And I know you're going to... The obvious is that you've never been a full-time employee.
That's probably why I've been here as long as I have.
100%.
Let's be honest about it.
100%.
It's the fill-in guy. Why? You're going to make a change. We're going to blow up the station, which I have several times that I've been there.
Yeah.
Well, what about him? Oh, no, he comes in, he fills in, he does shows. He's a utility. He's a great guy. What we can... That's likely why. So I'm very grateful. I hope it's much longer, but I know my place at the station, and I also know the way the business works. And let's say I had, taken back in the day, I've been asked this question, Mike. I'll answer my own question. Have you ever been offered a full-time job at the station? The answer is no. And yet, also, you need to know, I've never asked for one.
This arrangement works for you.
I have never asked for one, and they have never offered one. So, yes. It works for both of us. That doesn't work for me. It works for them too. Maybe if I said, hey guys, I need to have a show, they go, yeah, right. We don't like you that much anymore. Or they do.
No.
I go 3-4 years. The ratings are bad. You're out.
No, the secret to your success is you're never a line item on the payroll spreadsheet.
Well, that's true.
You're never a line item. You're in a different bucket budget-wise, bucket-wise.
That's very true.
And you're pay as you go. No health insurance, all these other little things or whatever. No, you invoice. I don't know how you work, but
I invoice.
An invoice per episode.
By the way, people ask me all the time, how do you know your show number? Because I invoice per show. It's easy.
Of course.
It's easy to keep track.
4,073 as we speak, because I know 74 is tonight.
Tonight, 7 to 10, fan 590.
Okay, now, because I don't know when your next appearance will be, this is the mop-up point. But congrats again on your longevity. Obviously, you're good on the air, or they wouldn't have you back 4,073 times. And this is multiple managers, like multiple decision makers through the decades, who none of them have said, Roger, he sucks. Not on my airwaves.
Cockroach.
Cockroach.
That's what I think of that guy. Obviously, he's a cockroach.
You can't kill the
Mike,
cockroach.
I say the same thing to you, not to stroke you, and I'm making this
Stroke
offer.
me, Roger.
I'm
Someone should stroke
making
me.
this offer. I would like to interview you on an episode of Toronto Mike. You start the show, you do the thing, and then
Aired
you
on,
turn it over to
590.
me, and then I start. Yes, I told you, leave it with me. You want to come in to see the fan. By the way, you'll probably be disappointed, but
know what, though?
regardless.
It won't be the first time, and I do want that experience.
Okay.
Even if it's for 4 minutes or whatever.
We're working on it.
So mop up, we're almost done. I know you got to get out of here. You've been amazing. I think we're almost at 90 minutes. Quick question. There is a movie called Mr. 3000. The late great actor, shout out to Ridley Funeral Home, was Bernie Mac. He had 3,000 hits, and he was kind of an egotistical guy who kind of branded himself as Mr. 3000. Hey, it's hard to get the 3,000 hits. Only 30-something people have done this. I'm one of them. But then they retroactively took away 3 of his hits. So I have a question for you.
Is that right?
Yeah. So
I didn't know that.
So this
That's
is
a part.
obviously
She was 2997.
right. But he was missed. So this is about him in his older years. Can I get 3 more hits? Like, anyways, it's a movie. I don't think it's a good movie, but it's a good premise. Okay. But you, as official scorer of many a Major League Baseball game, is there a statute of limitations upon when you could take away a hit and rule it an error?
Statute of limitations?
Can you now tell me, hey, we're taking away 3 Pete Rose hits?
Oh, no, you can't do that. Here's how it works.
There is a statute.
So let's say there's a game, next game I score. Actually, let's make it a fictitious game. I don't want to jinx myself.
Right.
There's a close call, and I call hit. All right?
Okay.
I can change the call during the game because the online supervisor will look, and sometimes I'll send them a message sometimes saying, hey, can you take a look at that play? Because we got to make the call fast, right? Like 15 seconds, fast. Take a look at that play. Let's make sure we're right. Let's get it right now. So, and if he looks at it and I look at it again, I can change it then if I want. I usually don't. Then there is a 48-hour period where the player or a player's representative, is usually his agent, can appeal the call. And they can appeal to Major League Baseball. And a 5-person committee will look at the play and they will vote on it, and they'll either uphold my original call or any official's call or decline it. So the statute of limitations is 48 hours to change a call. So someone might have a hit. I think I got a hit.
Right.
No, it's not a hit. It's an error. But then you got the hit. But no, going back and forth, you can't do that. But by the way, since you brought that up, I think one of the things I really enjoy as a stats guy is Major League Baseball, taking care of the Negro Leagues, putting the stats in the record book, I thought was exemplary. Yeah. I think that's fantastic. I don't want to say it's long overdue because I wasn't even thinking about that. I didn't even think that was a thing, but that is marvelous. It shows you. And Willie Mays actually wound up with 9 more career hits. Just before he passed away, he was told, hey, Willie, your 2/8, whatever his hit thing was, you got 9 more. And he took great joy in that because he was briefly in the Negro Leagues, and he had 9 hits in the Negro Leagues. And that's why the numbers are such a fascination for me. Pleasure being with you, my friend.
Roger, always great. Look forward to your next appearance is you interviewing me. I'm very open to all of these possibilities.
We are definitely going to be working on that. Maybe we could do it. No, I don't want to do it at Christie Pitts. We do it at Christie Pitts. We'll just talk about the Intercounty Baseball League. We'll do it here.
And where I set up shop is I'm right beyond the outfield fence, so the game's happening right in front of us.
Yeah.
Which is wild because you're reacting to very high caliber baseball in front of you. But so we should do both. Maybe you get your butt to Christie Pitts for a Toronto Maple Leafs game, and we can do the other thing, and maybe do the other thing, and do it all.
Done.
Let's do it. Let's beat cockroaches together.
No. I'm the only cockroach in this room.
Roger, you're back here where it all started, man. It all started with the Etobicoke Gazette, and here you are in South Etobicoke talking to Toronto Mike.
44 years, 9 months. My career started the Etobicoke Gazette just down the road from here. It's great to be back. You stay well, sir.
And that brings us to the end of our 1,551st show. You can follow me all over the place. I'm at Toronto Mike. Go to torontomike.com for all your Toronto Mike needs, whatever they may be. Much love to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, recyclemyelectronics.ca. That's where you go if you have old tech, old electronics. You don't throw it in the garbage. You go to recyclemyelectronics.ca, put in your postal code, and find out where you can drop it off to be properly recycled, so the chemicals do not end up in our landfill. Roger's a numbers guy. If he wants to see the numbers, the zeros in that bank account grow, he's going to go listen to the Advantaged Investor podcast from Raymond James, Canada. And shout out to Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of this community since 1921. See you all later this week when Marcia Young from CBC News returns to kick out the jams. Looking forward to catching up with Marcia again. See you all then.